Welcome into the archives, where we dive into games long forgotten in our Steam libraries to find hidden gems within. Now lately, I've done less popular titles. Due to the dice rolls of selecting my games, now we come across Frostpunk, which has a bit of recognition as bigger name YouTubers have done famous Let's Plays of it, and well, The Stupendium and Dan Bull have done amazing songs based off this game. So does it still stand up 3 years later? Well, let us dive in to find out what it has to offer us. Now, as of note, I'll be covering the base game, not including the DLC or the extra scenarios it has to offer. Frostpunk is a survival civilization builder, where your enemy is the Ice Age-like winter that is surrounding the world. Also, the people. They are foolish and they think they know better, prone to panic and make hasty decisions that lead to resource waste. So it's up to you to use what little resources that are left to build a civilization that will survive the coming storm and keep your people content and hopeful that there is a future. You have various resources you need to be on top of at all times. Coal to keep your hot, steamy generator going to keep all of your peeps from getting cold. Wood and metal to build buildings and roads, and also to be used to research future buildings. The very rare steam core to allow you to build bigger and badder special buildings, or giant spider robots. Raw food and food rations, which is to feed the people. Sometimes even a minor resource such as prosthetics for those who lose a limb because of frostbite, or because they thought the saw blade would give them a good scratch. With these resources, you will build homes to house your people, places for them to work to gather resources or help the sick, with buildings to help you conduct research, or even spread some propaganda around to show the people what they are working hard to achieve. These buildings will have various states of insulation that will help combat the cold naturally, with some research improving these stats. Building upgrades or extensions of your main generator to keep your people warm, as these monstrous machines take the coal that you gather to spread heat in this barren wasteland. The cold also fluctuates in temperature, causing you to need these upgrades, as it will get too cold for your generator to do alone. If it gets too cold, your people start to get sick and die. So to get coal to power the generator, you need workers to gather and drill it. To make these facilities, you will need wood and steel, which means you need other buildings to gather those resources and more workers to do so. Well, now you need to worry about food, because all these workers need to eat to survive. So we better get some hunters or start learning how to farm in this terrible place. And well, we shouldn't just eat this raw, need people to prepare this food into rations to prevent wastefulness and food sickness. Well, with all these people, we need to make sure we have enough coal and generator extensions to keep them all warm. So we better start gathering more coal. Wait, we've been here already. It's taking too long to get all the heat that I need. And so now my people are getting sick and or getting frostbite. Now I need hospitals to care for them, which requires more educated citizens to help care for them. And also these people cannot work for a little bit while sick. We need more people. Better send scouts or something to see if anybody's out there surviving or if we left anybody behind. Maybe they can find more resources to help as well. Neat. Some of these places have resources. Also, some of these places we can have like small little outposts to take care of and send us stuff daily. But crap, to do all this, we need resources to build the scouting building that allows us to send people out there. We also need to lower the workforce to even do this. Are you starting to see a pattern here? There are never enough resources to do everything you need. You have to plan ahead and make sacrifices you can afford to take. Your first playthrough is a hell of a ride where you're just trying to keep everything together and trying your best to make sure your people just don't freeze to death. But you're not quite sure what you need to be preparing for, but you know disaster is looming and ready to strike at any moment. You even have a research tree to help you upgrade buildings you have and get new buildings that gather resources in various ways. They can even make your hospitals or hovels more effective at keeping the cold at bay. Find ways to make your generator more effective or less coal hungry. So you try your best to prepare for the worst. The question is, will you ever be ready? During my playthrough, the game did quite well with the balance of making sure I wasn't too comfortable with how anything was going, but wasn't so evil that I felt like it was super helpless. It even had a good tutorial and build up to the different mechanics so that way you didn't feel overwhelmed at the start. Oh, that's right. We have people to govern. After all, the old governments have crumbled and now people look to you to make sure they can survive. You have to sign laws that change how your civilization operates. After you write a law, you have a time before you can write another law, depending on what law you choose. What laws and decisions will you make to ensure your people survive? Make for longer 10-hour shifts to make sure we can squeeze as much daylight we can to get as much as we need? Should we take the bodies of the dead and bury them in graves like before? Or should we put them in a pit for there isn't time for mourning or grave digging. For if we don't work hard, the snow will be everyone's grave, right? Should we keep food rations with the healthy portions like we've been doing? Or should we add sawdust or spread it out through soup so we can make sure we can feed everyone? The children have nothing to do while their parents are working. Should we give them a daycare to watch over them to keep peace of mind for their parents? Or should every pair of able hands be put to work to ensure they have a future? These decisions will be yours during your playthrough. Will you try to keep your sense of morals, risking lives for the sake of what is right? Or will you take advantage of every resource to ensure our people live this winter? However, people are not simply going to just live. They need to be content on how you're running things and have hope that there's a future here. Random events will spring up that you'll need to balance to keep everyone happy, but also not to burn your resources. In layman's terms, you have to balance survival, discontent, and hope. If people are starving or sick, they will be unhappy on how you're running things. If you make promises you don't keep, they will lose hope in you, may even leave you, or overthrow you. After a certain point, you have to decide what your people are fighting for. You can switch between the laws of adaptation that I mentioned before that were designed to help survival, to something more religious or orderly, which leads to a new set of laws you can go down, which have many benefits to help control your people and even make them more effective. They can even prevent the Londoners from taking your people, which are a small cell of people trying to convince people that London is still alive and is way more dope than your whole.
There's no place like London. No, there's no place like London.
However, this leads to another question of morals, with some of the decisions being forcing your religion on others to follow or be thrown aside, or will you resort to keeping everyone in line and punishing those who get in your way? These new laws can also give you access to buildings that can give more heat or resources that normal research just can't do. They start off with building places of worship, having night watches for safety, maybe a morning meeting for a little hope, so they're not all that bad. So maybe you won't dive too far in these trees to not end up like your ancestors. However, when death is staring down your hole in the abyss, when doing what is right becomes the death of us all. So what if I have guards on the streets? They keep us safe from corruption. The night watches ensure our supplies don't go wasted on someone's greed. These prisons keep us safe from the scoundrels that dare to ruin us within. Remember, each and every single one of you works hard for your soup. Every single contribution keeps our great generator alive to keep us alive. However, there are few that wish to see our hard work ruined by using their fangs of malcontent. So we bite down on these vermin who dare to disrupt our order. It is our work that makes us survive, our unity that keeps us safe. We set examples of those who wish to fight back, and let it be known that our strength does not falter. It shall never be brought down by the pigs who disrespect our order of unity. As we scream, we will survive the storm, and from it we shall come out as a people who can withstand any hell this world throws at us. For we work as one, so make the pledge to stand in line and follow your captain's orders. So, did I enjoy Frostpunk? You know, I think it's one of the best survival city builders I've ever played. Focusing on decisions you make, whether they be what laws you implement, design of your settlement, decisions to do with resources, the situations where your people demand more from you, and if you ultimately have them survive the storm. I mean, I had a few issues like where you couldn't see the future laws could do, so you couldn't say plan for the future. Also not being able to compare faith and order law trees to see which one sounded better when you had to make the decision. That being said, the flaws the game had were heavily outweighed by the great gameplay and also engaging setting. I really felt like the game was slowly twisting my reality towards a controlling dictator the longer I played. Since I was so focused on survival, I almost forgot the people I led were only human. So, what are you waiting for? Get in line and earn your soup, or be sacrificed to the steam to be made an example of to others what happens to worthless vermin. Well, that was a little intense, but to be fair, we are dealing with an apocalypse. I do hope you enjoyed, and please let me know what you thought down below. Every like and comment shows that I'm doing something good, and what you guys want to see more of. Next up, it's time to hop on board of the Express, but this train has no tracks, as we enter the sunless skies. So until then, enjoy the archive.